Today we're going to let the colony research sit by itself, and your choices are to work on your response to our Plymouth trip or your own story, okay? And there are a couple things that I want you to really focus on when we're doing our writing, all right? So we're going to talk about... My goals in the writing lesson today, there were a couple big ones. One was to send kids back into 2 different pieces of writing that we'd been working on so that they would have a chance to apply some of the strategies that we've been talking about over time, but really focus in on those. And the other goal was to make sure that there were enough access points for the children who needed to come in at it a little differently. So when I'm designing a lesson, any lesson, I try to pick 3 focal students. One student who may be on the upper end, who I think is going to get it right away. A student who I think is going to need significant support in order to access the lesson successfully. And a student who may be more middle of the road or possibly a little bit at risk, but mostly the ones that are going to get it but may need a little bit more time. So I try to think about those 3 different kinds of students when I'm planning a lesson. Some of the ways that I think we achieved differentiated instruction today were we had 2 different graphic organizers. That one that was used by a small group of girls who needed to really focus on getting some action in their writing. So jot down some of those ideas on this, and then I will come back and check in with you, okay? And another was used by a student who had a story in his head and needed a lot of both visual and one-on-one support in order to get it on paper in a coherent fashion.
And Anna too? Okay, well read what you have so far.
Amy runs like Sonic and Chrissy runs like Shadow.
Like Shadow, okay. What else do you want to say?
I just want, can I write number 2 now?
Yeah, number 2. We're going to write in number 2 box. The next thing that happens, you have to tell me first what happens.
Can I just write it and you'll read it?
No, I want you to tell me first.
Oh.
Just try, it's okay. Anna. You saying Anna? Or Amy? Anna. Okay.
You just said Amy. Amy Rose.
Okay, we're going to say Anna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Runs like Amy Rose.
Anna runs like Amy Rose.
Yes.
Is Amy Rose another person?
Robot.
She's a robot. Okay, go ahead. Fred invented a flying machine that could fly to Wetlandia. Okay. I'm going to leave you with that.
The work with the keyboard is just another alternative way. Sometimes children, when they have to handwrite or try to formulate their ideas and think about it and then write it, are unable to do those 2 things simultaneously, so they would rather use the keyboard in order to get some of the information down rather than using a piece of paper. Some of the children that I work with don't always remember or understand the directions, so repeating the directions and having them follow along, and also having chart sheets written down with some words that they can relook at, help them trigger some other ideas that might be in their mind.
Do you see the difference between I saw the gardens and I searched the gardens for catnip? Okay, so I want you to do that with this saw and this one as well. Think of other words besides searched, okay? Because you've got searched here. And just like if you have I saw the gardens, I saw a musket, I saw some animals, you don't want all that repetition. So think about other words you can use instead of searched, okay? One thing that really would have helped me to know about as a beginning teacher is task analysis. And if I had known that I could take the goals and objectives that I had for each lesson and pull those apart and then fit the learners that I have in my classroom into those. The child who's functioning about 2 or 3 years below grade level, we have to adapt the work for him. We have to think about this is where the task analysis comes in. What's the overall goal? What piece of that goal can this child do? Then how can I make his work look similar to the other children's work so that he does feel like he's fitting in and he's not feeling like he's sticking out. For the children who have language processing issues, we need to make sure that there is enough vocabulary in front of them so that they can pull those things together and put their thoughts on paper in a way that makes sense to them and to us.
Word list here that might show how the snow is coming down. An action word.
Hurry.
Hurry.
I think that one of the things that I try to do to make sure that students develop strengths in a lot of different areas is to play on their strengths, is to find what area of their ability is that's strong, and let them sail there. And then when they feel comfortable taking risks, then I can push them a little bit in their area that's not quite so strong, or the place that's a challenge for them. Thank you. Look at that. How's that feel?
Good.